Alrighty, folks. So you are probably like, what the heck are you driving now? And that is completely understandable. Right now we are in our 2019 Chevrolet Bolt. This is actually vehicle number 4 in terms of the chronology of new vehicles that we have acquired over the last 3 months. Mazda CX-90 was number 1. A BMW Z3 is number 2. That's actually my other car, which is still under construction. And a Subaru WRX is number 3. And this Chevy Bolt is number 4. So, in this case, we got this car last week after doing some analyzing and figuring out the Subaru Ascent and the Mazda CX-50. Despite my car being good on gas, the CX-50, we have been using so much fuel that we are actually making 2 car payments. So, with that being said, we decided to bite the bullet on an EV, and this EV payment with the insurance hike is actually half of what we were spending in gas. So, those other cars will be tabled for a little while, and this will be the primary vehicle, but of course, upon taking trips and doing longer distances, the gas cars will still be utilized. So that's good. And so with that, we've only had 2 days of drivability with this car, despite having it for a week. The engine light equivalent came on, and it caused the car to have some reduced power. It was throwing a transmission's temperature sensor code, and come to find out, nothing was wrong with it. So it must have needed like a software update or something. The engine light had turned off, but then came back, but then afterwards came on, but it was only like a light to tell us that it gave the car a code. So it went to Chevy for a few days. Then all of a sudden the dealerships that were Findlay based were hacked. So I got an oil change on my Mazda, and they almost had to hold the car hostage because they couldn't put it into their system, and the Bolt broke at the same time. So in this regard, both cars were almost stuck there. I got the Mazda back, but the Bolt was stuck there for about 5 days. Come to find out, nothing was wrong with it, so I was kind of a little pissed, but on the same token, I wasn't too hurt about it because at least we didn't have to pay anything. Inside the car, it is pretty nice. You do get a pretty large screen here. This is the LT trim. So in this regard, it does lack some luxuries, but honestly, it's not too bad. The gear shifter is a little bit interesting. I keep hitting the park button to try to put it into drive, and it actually is a little side button. Cup holders are good, and I'm going to bingo, so I'm going to go charge the car at the casino for free. And I actually like the Bolt better because I found it to have more room than the EUV. So I'm not really upset. Honestly, I do like this car. Taking it to work has been a breeze. With that, I can't charge it at work because there's no charging outlets, but with that, we do have a level 1 charger at home, plus a lot of casinos in the area, so we can charge level 2 if needed. This does make 200 horsepower, and I think it's 268 pound-feet of torque from 0 RPM, so it definitely gets moving. And I actually have the max regen on in the low gear right now, but it will drive like a normal car if you put it in drive. Speed-wise, really good at getting up to speed for a small little econo box per se, is what you would call it. It does really well there, and honestly, I'm kind of happy we got it. It kind of gives us a little bit of a taste of what to expect in the future. I'm still not completely sold on EVs like for everybody, but it works for this application. And this is why I was pretty much on board with getting this car, because right now we're spending so much in gas, and we have a little bit of a better infrastructure to charge for our needs. Granted, not for all people's needs. So this is where I still find gas engines to be very useful. Efficiency-wise, it's not bad. Granted, of course, we do a lot of highway, so we will see the battery drain more quickly. If you notice, it's been at about 135 miles for the past 3 miles because of the regenerative power of this car. So if you're going downhill, you're going to regain a lot of miles in this, but going uphill, man, it will suck them down. So you still will unfortunately have to charge a pretty decent amount in this car, I find, if you're doing more than 100 miles a day. But really, it isn't bad, and honestly, like, these are things that you need to account for when having an electric vehicle. And a lot of cars with smaller tanks will get similar range. You just have to, of course, fill up more. It's just, of course, the charging takes a lot longer, so that can be really inconvenient. But the newer EVs, they are charging more quickly. This one, we did fast charge it just to test and make sure it worked, and we were able to get, you know, roughly about 100 miles in 45 minutes. Of course, we were sharing a charger with other folks in terms of the two-sided stage 3 chargers, so it did slow it down a little bit, but it was still enough to get us home and just basically test the regeneration of this car to make sure, or to test the charging capability of this car to make sure that it was in check. Ride-wise, you know, with no engine, you're gonna notice more with the tires. And the tires, they're not too noisy, but you definitely hear more of the wind and tire noise. It's a bit weird, I'm not gonna lie. You know, it's something that I really wasn't expecting to be so loud. But, you know, when you have an engine that is, you know, making noise as well, it's interesting the different audio dynamics that you hear in the car. It's just so bizarre to me how different it is. In terms of the room, honestly, we just took a buddy out for dinner and he was able to fit in the back seat really comfortably. It doesn't look like a lot of room, but surprisingly it is. And it's really cool how like the Bolt is able to fit so much in it. And then also the trunk is huge in this vehicle. So despite it being a small car, it has so much room. It is insane. So really happy about that, to be honest. And also, I know this sounds really crappy, but I'm happy we got it because now our cars can literally take a break from getting hit in parking lots and all this other stuff. The Bolt can take the hit when it comes to rock chips. By the way, the Subaru has a huge crack in the windshield because a rock flew right into it. So now that's going to be a repair for tomorrow. Fun stuff. But yeah, as you can see, it does really well. Speed-wise, I noticed I am driving a little bit slower because I am playing with the range to see what I can get out of the car. It does get up to 90 okay, but then it kind of falls on its face. That single speed reduction gear that's in there, that's about as high as it's gonna go. I think this engine is okay to go to 11 or 12,000 RPMs, and I'm sure it's software restricted, so that way, as Mercedes calls it, rapid disassembly, the engine just doesn't rip itself apart. But yeah, I notice I'm driving a little bit slower, but I don't mind it, and I'm not hogging the fast lane, so you can't blame me there. I'm right in the center, and people can go around me. But I mean, it's odd because I didn't think I would get this, but I'm really happy I did because I'm seeing it already in terms of how it's going to save us money. I'm also able to charge at City Hall for free, and it's right next to my house, so kind of a vibe. I get a free level 2 charger per se, and before you say, you're stealing, remember we pay a shit ton in taxes, and on top of that, what was it called? We don't really see much of a benefit of it. So in this case, the least they could do is give me some power. And I also do charge at home as well. So with that being said, folks, infotainment system wise is pretty good, but I will say it's a little slow at times, but it's not, you know, it's not something that's causing us any issues or anything of that sort. We're still learning how to play with the charging system just to see what we can get out of it, because there are targets that you can set for the car to be like 80%, etc., so you're not overcharging it and warming up the battery too much. But in this regard, those are things that we're still learning as we go. But I mean, otherwise, guys, an amazing vehicle, and there is a view of Las Vegas as I am recharging my battery. So, if you guys have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out. We'll see where this car goes, honestly. Like, I'm really excited to do some content on this. I'm excited to get content on the other 2 cars as well. You know, I did the CX-90 the other day. Now we're doing the Bolt, and you know, with that, once I get the BMW in hand, I'll do some content on that, and then of course the Subaru WRX as well. The other cars did stay, by the way. The 2017 Charger is still there, the Subaru Ascent and the Mazda CX-50 are still there, and the Expedition is actually still there as well, and my sister still has her 2 vehicles. So no vehicles were replaced, just added to the rental fleet, I guess. So with that, folks, I'll catch you guys later. I'm going to go play bingo and probably lose, but in this regard, it was a pleasure doing this video, and I hope you guys have fun, and please be safe. Have a good one.